And welcome back to episode 3 of a podcast about movies. I am joined, as always, by my co-host Austin Pez Howell. I am, of course, Jacob Barber. You can see our names on the screen, but I feel the need to introduce us anyway. Austin, how's it going?
Well, there might be people listening rather than watching, So you want to
That's true.
associate a voice with a name, even if they're not watching. That's always a thing you want to start with.
That is true, and this might be the one time we're actually recording the podcast on the day it might be uploaded. You might be seeing this on Saturday or Sunday. I don't know yet. It depends on how busy I get.
Yeah.
So what we're kind of doing today is we're just kind of we're going to wrap up 2021. It ended yesterday, and we're on to 2022, and hopefully bigger and better things. But I'm not going into 2022 with any expectations.
To quote Bill Moseley's Otis in Devil's Rejects, I keep my expectations low. That way I'm never disappointed.
That's good, yeah. Because I went into 2021 expecting it to be better, and
it was probably the same.
It was a little better, but
almost the same.
Overall,
yeah,
it was like,
yeah.
No,
I went to the movies way more, like the actual theater way more this year than I did the previous one. I'll say that.
I went to the theater twice, and it was for the same movie.
Well, that makes sense. Well, I waited all of 2020 and then half of 2021 for my Regal Unlimited to start again, for the Regal Theater to actually open back up and that to start again, because I kept getting these emails like, we'll credit you on the months you didn't use, because I had paid for like a year in advance when I first bought it, and I only got to use about 6 months of it before everything like shut down. So I was like, am I going to get credited for this? And they started sending out emails going, oh yeah, we'll wherever it ended, we won't charge you for this. So we'll start when the theaters open back up. We'll start up your thing again. You won't be you won't lose any of that. So for anybody who had paid in advance like I did,
yeah, I'm hoping to make it to the theater more this year. It's just I ride the bus everywhere, so my schedule's kind of limited by them. But I am hoping to make it to the theater a lot more, because there are some movies that I want to see in the theater this year, which we will get to later on in the show.
But right are we going to be talking about anticipated movies of 2022, Jacob? Is that part of tonight's discussion?
We are, because we're one of those cliche podcasts right now that talks about the things everyone else talks about.
So you mean it's one of those things where at the end of one year and beginning of another year, we kind of wrap up the 1 year and we talk about the year coming up? Like, oh man, that's cliche. So we should just end the show right here. I mean, it's played out, and we should just stop right now. I mean, honestly.
So for Austin, I've been Jacob, and we'll see you next time.
All right, no, we'll see you next time. Yeah.
No, we are.
No, we're gonna be cliche, because we are cliche. Who cares? YouTube is cliche at this point.
Yeah. Come on. But I mean, that's what the show is. That's to talk about movies that we love.
Yeah.
And a few that disappointed us. We'll get a little negative, but overall, we're going to be positive on this episode. We're going to talk about our surprises.
Even the disappointments, we're going to try to talk more about just movies that we were really hyped up for, that kind of maybe weren't awful, but maybe just disappointed a little bit. Yes. I mean, not total. We're not going to. I don't like doing like these worst of lists where you just go into a thing and just trash movies, because somebody worked hard on people did work hard on those movies, and there's some people that do even like those movies. It's more just about the ones that I went into really, really looking forward to and just didn't quite hit the mark, you know what I mean? And but still had a few redeeming qualities here and there. I have one that bridges both surprise and disappointment. I'll just tease you with that. It'll be right on the border. So I'll tease you with that one.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to hering about that. Yeah. I'm kind of in the same way. Like, the movies that disappointed me, I didn't hate, but
yeah, me neither.
Yeah, and we'll also talk about some movies that we discovered or watched watched for the first time this year. So that'll be a fun discussion. It's just gonna be a fun discussion. Let us know in the comments what were some movies that surprised you this year, disappointed, and what are you looking forward to in the year to come? So, Austin, why don't you kick us off? What is something that?
Okay, yeah, I think we'll bounce back and forth, and we'll each kind of just rattle off our list here. We don't have any set numbers or anything, because I don't like doing that either. It's just like whatever. Let's just bounce off and see what we got. So, one that I've been championing for a while, and this if you've been seeing tournament fights or some of the other ones, is Antlers. I've been a big proponent of Antlers. It's a movie, horror movie. I'm a horror movie guy, so I'm gonna talk a lot about horror movies, but. Antlers, directed by Scott Cooper, who directed Black Mass and Crazy Heart and Out of the Furnace. A really, really solid director venturing into horror. It was produced by Guillermo del Toro. Don't let that put you off if you're not a del Toro fan. It just means he helped get distribution with his distribution company, and he helped design the actual monster in the movie, which he's very good at. Even if you don't like del Toro, the guy has a creative mind when it comes to monsters and horrific imagery. So, but yeah, Antlers. It's just a really solid, just kind of small film with some good actors in it. It's got Carrey Russell, Jesse Plemons are kind of a brother and sister, and they're both kind of in weird situations. I'm not going to go into too much of the movie because I think not a lot of people saw it, and I want people to see it. But it has one of the best child performances I've seen from last year. I'm blanking on the kid's name, but the main kid in the movie who kind of has to deal with the situation he's dealing with at his house. And again, I don't want to spoil it, but he's dealing with something horrific that up in his attic that he does not want to be dealing with. And the movie essentially kind of deals with the myth of like the Wendigo monster, kind of that old kind of northwest mountain kind of a myth of like this monster, kind of half deer, antlered, half human monster that kind of runs around, and it kind of deals with that. But it's a really, really solid movie, very atmospheric, very well shot, and actually the creature reveals later in the movie are really good. They're practical effects. They're very, very well done, which you don't see a lot. Again, enhanced just with a few CGI features and a few shots here and there, but for the most part, it's a practical creature, which I really liked, and just a really simple, solid film. So I encourage everyone to go out there and check out. I think it's starting to show up on VOD for like rentals and stuff. So, and if it shows up, I'm sure it'll pop up on some streaming service somewhere, and people will be able to check it out. But I have a feeling it'll be one of those that will eventually develop kind of a following once it kind of really gets out there, because it didn't really make much of a splash at the box office. I saw it in an empty theater on a Thursday night, opening night, in a very cold, empty theater. So, and I don't think it made much of it. It opened to get something big. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, Antlers, really solid stuff. I really liked it.
Didn't it open against Halloween Kills? Wasn't it around the same time?
It might have been Halloween Kills, but then again, I know I saw Halloween Kills on Thursday night too, so I don't think it was that.
Okay.
It was something. I don't remember what it was. Whatever it was, it ended up only coming in like 5th place or something that weekend. Yeah, it was not good. But again, I think this one will get a little word of mouth eventually. I certainly hope it does.
Right. Yeah. Since you championed it on Tournament Fights, which, by the way, if you've not seen that episode, go watch it. It's a fun time. I checked it out, and it's coming out on Blu-ray this upcoming Tuesday. So I'm
nice. I'm
thinking about picking it up just based on your reaction to it. I'm not a big horror guy, but when horror movies are talked about in that sense, like it's something. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Well, and it's got a lot more psychological horror than you think too. You know what I mean? Just like terrifying, situations. A lot of family drama kind of thrown in there, and then it kind of goes all out with the creature stuff at the end. But a lot of the stuff leading up to it is just more atmospheric, kind of psychological stuff. So I really dug that part of it as well. So, but if you like really good performances mixed in with it's just really, really good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I'll be checking it out for sure. Who knows? Maybe it'll crack my top 12 when I go on Malcolm's show. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
So what do you got? You got a surprise for us? What do you got?
I do. We talked about Pig before, and that was a big surprise for me because I didn't expect to love it as much as I did. I didn't expect it to be one of my top 5 favorites of the year. That's for sure. And as of now, it's sitting at number 4. But I was on Henry's show Friday, and like I said then, my 5 through 2 could easily change, and I'd be okay with the order. So it could easily be my number 2. That's how much I love this movie. It's just such a simple story. A man loses his pig, and he wants to find it. And it's a simple, unique, intriguing story that I think more people need to see, because Nicolas Cage really does give, I think, one of the best performances of the year. If I had to say in awards,
He'd be nominated
he'd
for
be
sure.
nominated for
He'd
sure.
be at least nominated. I don't know if he will, if the campaign will get up high enough to get that. But yeah, like that was one of the ones that you guys were talking it up. I blind bought the Blu-ray. I finally cracked it last week, kind of before we did that tournament fight show, and yeah, like it's everything I wanted it to be, and it's definitely like more of a character study, and this character movie of Nick Cage, because yeah, it's not like a I think they didn't know how to market the movie either, because it's kind of more of a character study. It's not like a John Wick movie where they take his pig and he goes on a rampage. Like that's not what it
Right.
is. You know what I mean? Like, and you would think it's something like that based on the marketing materials, but no, I mean he definitely doesn't go out looking for it, and he encounters some weird things and takes some crazy turns. I'll just mention a restaurant out back, with some people maybe throwing punches. I'll just say that it gets really weird. But there's definitely some stuff where you see him really, his character's emotion. It's a movie about grief, and dealing with connections. It's a thing about you could really study about family and the bonds you can create even with somebody that's not a person, and what it can mean to somebody, and grief and potentially losing that person. So I mean, you can really connect to it on many levels. It's really good.
Yeah. I think Alex Wolff, I wasn't high on his performance on the first watch, but the more I think about it, like I really do enjoy his performance in the movie. I think just how he's almost over the top.
Yeah,
And
almost.
Nicolas Cage is just so like, even keel, and just, I just want to find my pig. I mean, Nicolas Cage gets, emotional when he needs to, and when he starts kicking the
Yeah.
car and stuff,
But
like,
you don't get like crazy Cage in this movie, like
right.
over the top crazy Cage, like
It's
you
not
get in
mom and dad
those
Cage.
outbursts. No, 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 no. And you could tell it's a role that he really wanted to sink his teeth into, probably when he read the script and just saw it as an opportunity to really dig into something different, which I can appreciate about him. He's been picking these roles lately that are just so different. Like, no matter what you think of Nicolas Cage or his movies, the last really 5 or 6 movies that he's done have all been wildly different and interesting, at least, which is why he's one of my favorite actors going, especially right now. He always has been, but especially right now, this role he's on, and with the next one that we'll probably talk about, that they put the trailer at the
Oh yeah.
Bearable Weight of Massive Talent, like, that looks fun too. So anything I see that's coming out, man, I'm in. I'm all in on this point on what he's got coming out.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the restaurant scene, between him and Alex Wolff, and then the chef comes down. I think that's one of my favorite scenes of the year, and like in any movie that I've seen. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, just really solid. I expected to like it. I didn't expect to love it, just based on word of mouth and everything. But man, yeah, it's a top 5 for me, and I don't expect to see it drop. I mean, I'm still catching up on some past 2021 movies, but I don't expect it to drop out of the top 5. I loved this
No.
movie.
And I'm glad I've actually seen it on a lot of other online lists as well. Like, people are definitely discovering the movie, and word's getting out about it. Word of mouth is spreading fast about it. So, and I'm glad it is,
Yeah.
and it deserves it,
I
definitely.
mean, it was in the finals of our tournament fight, so I mean,
Yeah,
and
and came in
and
second place in the poll.
and and it wasn't because I didn't, like, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't watched the episode, but it's not because I didn't want a superhero
No,
versus
it's
superhero movie.
legitimately
Yeah.
a great movie. Yeah, no, it's
So
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, what else you got?
Well, I'll just mention one other Nick Cage movie that we talked about briefly on that show as well. I really, really enjoyed, on a kind of midnight movie horror level. Willy's Wonderland is so much fun. It's just so much fun. It delivers exactly what you want it to be. And for anybody who out there watching who doesn't know the premise, it's another Nick Cage crazy movie. Only this time it's a silent performance. He doesn't have a single line of dialogue in the whole movie. He's like this, just kind of this loner guy driving around, and his car breaks down, and he makes a deal with a guy who has a garage that he'll clean up this one sort of Chuck E. Cheese type place with these animatronic characters. It's like a pizza, Chuck E. Cheese pizza place kind of thing with the animatronic band. That he'll clean it up over the course of the night, and they'll replace the parts that he needs and fix up his car for him. Little does he know that the animatronics come to life and murder people. Anybody who comes in there and spends the night with them, much like Five Nights at Freddy's. And yeah, there's allusions to that, but it's just got some crazy, fun, nuanced stuff. But it's a very fun performance in that, yeah, he doesn't speak, he just does a lot of facial acting, and he's a badass in it. And it's super, super fun. And he kicks these animatronics' asses all night. And there's another group of teens that kind of comes in, checking the place out, of course, because you just need to pad that body count without Nicolas Cage. Can't just be him fighting them all night. But there's a lot of fun stuff. And if you like just fun, like I said, kind of midnight movie kind of stuff, you keep again, you don't said it's not the greatest movie ever made, anything like that. I'm not touting it as such, but if you know exactly, this movie knows exactly what it wants to be, and it is that, and it's a lot of fun. It's a tight 90-minute fun horror movie, and I got a real kick out of it.
Yeah, I have it. I just haven't popped it in yet. It's one of the ones I need to catch up on, but yeah, hearing nothing but good things. It was championed a lot on tournament fights as well, so it's definitely
crack open a couple of beers and just have a good time. You know what I mean? That's what that movie is. If you want to see more of a fun, silly Nick Cage movie, but knows exactly what it is, and you can tell Nick Cage is having fun with the role. He insisted on not having any dialogue, apparently, behind the scenes of the movie. That was a role he'd been wanting to try for a while. It works, man, and I dug it, man. Again, Nick Cage is doing his thing right now, and I'm digging it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one I'll definitely check out. Another one that surprised me. Trust me, this is not the last time we'll talk about Nick Cage. He will be brought back up. But a movie that I watched for the first time just yesterday, and it flew up to number 2. I didn't expect anything to challenge Spider-Man for my favorite movie of the year, but this one could do it upon a rewatch, and that's Coda. It's
I heard you. I saw you posting about it on Facebook. Yeah, but I don't have Apple TV, so I'll have to check it out when it comes to any general streaming services, in time.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and I hope it does. I hope it gets a physical release, because streaming may not last forever, and this is a movie I would like to own. But yeah, all I knew was that it was CODA. It's an acronym for Child of Deaf Adults, and I just knew it was about this high school girl who is living with her family of 4, and she's the only one that can hear. That's all I knew about the movie. I didn't really go into it, but I've heard good things about it. And within the first 10 minutes, I was smiling so much, I was laughing. I didn't expect to love this movie as much as I did upon first watch. The story, it's basically about a high school senior played by Amelia Jones, I believe is her last name. And she really loves to sing, but she's never really, done anything about it. She's always been busy helping her family. They fish. They're fishermen, and they have a boat. And she's always been busy with them because they can't hear. And it they have a crew of 3, and it's kind of necessary. But she joins choir her final year, and she really starts to struggle with do I stay and help my family, or do I pursue my dream of going to school and pursuing music in a deeper fashion, because she can sing, and she didn't know she could sing because she's never been able to sing for anyone. And so it's a good coming of age story about that struggle. Like, do you stay? Do you help your family? Do you live your life, or do you follow your dreams?
Well, it kind of sounds a little bit, and I apologize, I don't mean to cut you, but like Gilbert, like What's Eating Gilbert Grape with Johnny Depp and DiCaprio in that movie, where he wants to go off and kind of start his life. He wants to move out of this, out of this small town. He wants to move on his thing, but he's got this. He feels like he has this obligation to take care of DiCaprio and to take care of Gilbert. This super kind of autistic kid, and he's the only one that kind of knows how to connect with them. And it's like, yeah, that balance of like, do I leave him behind? Do I go and pursue my thing? Do I stay here and kind of take care of what I feel like is an obligation at this point, you know.
Mhm.
And it kind of feels like, yeah, a different kind of angle on that. But yeah, I mean, it's a thing where, you know, we see a lot of these. There's been a lot of movies in the last couple of years, and it's kind of cool to see dealing with sign language and deaf people, you know, and ASL and movies and things. And my ex was actually she's an ASL teacher. She was an interpreter, and now she's a teacher. So she appreciated stuff like The Shape of Water, which had a deaf character at the front and center, you know, using ASL, and other characters we've seen in even superhero movies and things like that that use ASL, and it's kind of becoming more and more prominent, you know, to see it featured in movies, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. And yeah, it was great to see it in here. The deaf characters I loved how much emotion they were able to show, just through
Hmm.
their facial expressions and even the way they were signing. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, the way they were able to show emotion with their hands,
Hmm.
I think was really well done. And the music in this is fantastic. There's a song at the end that um, it's fantastic, and I think it will get awards consideration. I don't know if you're an awards guy. I kind of am. I don't mind watching.
It depends on the year. I had a period from about 2010 to 2015 where I kind of obsessed over seeing like all the Oscar nominees, you know, every year and tried to seek them out. And even my mom and I had a year or two where we went and saw a lot of them together in the theaters, you know. So we would try to catch up on them or see them on DVD or whatever it was. So I mean, there was a period, but I think that to me that my interest in that has kind of fallen off over the years, just because it's
Mhm.
like I can tell these movies that are just kind of aiming for that, as opposed to the ones that were just doing their thing and happened to get nominated because they got such support and such word of mouth, you know, and kind of broke out among these things. And but you see those ones every year that are just like just blatant Oscar bait, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So you know, it just kind of depends. I felt like something like Nomad Land was kind of just shooting for that, which is why I didn't really dig it too much. You know, it was like it's
Yeah,
fine, but you know, but there's those movies that where you're just like, yeah, you're just going for this Oscar thing, you know, and that's all well and good. But I appreciate when there's movies that aren't shooting for that, but and sometimes get snubbed when they really should. You know, we always talk about something like Hereditary, where it's like it's
yeah,
still a crime that Toni Collette did not get nominated for anything for that movie. You know, just because it's a straight horror movie. You know, I think that's a shame. I think more movies should be recognized that are kind of outside these typical genre films. You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
I want to see more stuff outside, like Pig, for example. Like we're talking about, I'd love to see Nick Cage get nominated for Pig.
Oh,
You know, just because
absolutely.
it's something different. It's not some period piece drama or some, you know, just movie where everybody's yapping every 2 seconds. Oh, the dialogue's so smart. You know, it's just like, no, I want to see somebody get nominated for an understated performance like that, just doing something nuanced and something cool. You know, like I'd like to see more of that. I think more people would be interested in the Oscars again if they went that route, but it seems like they've kind of fallen off of that, and that's just my opinion. But the last couple of years, it seems like they really have.
Yeah, I don't mind them. I don't like go out of my way to do predictions like, oh, these are the 10 movies that are going to get
Yeah.
nominated. But I do enjoy watching them. I maybe just because I want to see good performances and good movies get recognized, but more often than not, I'm disappointed because it's not my favorites. But
Hmm.
I because I don't think like the Academy thinks apparently. um,
No.
but yeah, no, Code is fantastic. I do see it getting a lot of awards consideration. There's a scene in the movie where they do the choir concert, and she's doing her song with another person, and I was looking forward to hearing the song, and they decide to do it from the family's perspective,
I
and
see.
it was such a
Mm-hmm.
great scene. Oh my goodness, it's up there with the restaurant scene from Pig for me. Like I just thought it was such a fantastic scene. So yeah, if it does come to streaming, I would definitely recommend it. It's a good
I'll look for
contemporary.
it on. I rent and buy stuff on Vudu, the that streaming that VOD service. So I'll look for it. And I think I remember seeing that Greyhound Tom Hanks movie pop up on there eventually. You know, some of those Apple
Oh, okay.
TV, you know, kind of stuff. I think they leave them on the Apple service for a while, and then eventually, a couple months down the line, they start putting them out on the other, at least the VOD services for you to rent and stuff. So I'll keep an eye out for it. But yeah, I'll definitely, yeah, you're very high on it, so I'll definitely keep my eye out for it. Definitely want to see it.
Yeah. So you got one more surprise you want to talk about? Or?
Yeah. I'll just say I was super over the moon surprised because I went back and revisited, and I hadn't seen in years, the original 1992 Candyman. So going into this new version of Candyman, that's one of these legacy sequels, I guess is what they're calling them. One of these ones that are kind of, ignoring the other ones and just sticking to the original, but kind of they're sort of a semi reboot, but still kind of a sequel. But I was surprised at how much I love Candyman. I really, really got into it. I thought it was extremely well shot, just really beautiful to look at, scored really well, and just great performances all around. I butcher his name every time I try to say it. It's like Yahya Abdul Mateen the third, or whatever. He's Black Manta. He's Candyman. He's the new Morpheus in the Matrix. You know what I mean? He's popping up all over the place. He's popping up everywhere. But yeah, he's really, really great. It dug into like some body horror elements that were fun. It really dug into more of the mythology of the Candyman, and that there's like multiple Candymen over the years, like, which is fun. Just as a horror fan, I went into it kind of leery because I really enjoy the original a lot. And I thought it was a really good follow-up. Like they would make a great double feature now, like now that it's out, like just playing this one, and the original one. They play really, really well together. There's a little bit of heavy-handedness on the political, commentary and the racial commentary. It's a little heavy-handed, but if you get past that, it's kind of thrown in your face. But it's only in certain scenes, but it's still really, really, like, the filmmaking itself is so well done that I would highly recommend it. I was surprised at just how much I enjoyed it, and it's definitely in my top 5 of the year. Like, I really, really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's high praise. Yeah, I bought the Blu-ray, so I'm gonna do a double feature soon because I haven't seen the original either. But
do you have the original, or do you
I
have
don't have
the
the original, but I believe it's on Peacock, and so
I think it's on Peacock. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend. Definitely go back and watch the original first. Maybe just do a double feature one night, like I was saying, like watch both, because the first one is so good. The score is, you will be listening to the score on YouTube the whole week after you watch that movie. I can guarantee. I was listening to it over and over again online or on Spotify. Like, there's covers of it. It's like classy. It's just kind of cool. It's just a great horror movie. And Tony Todd's incredible in that movie. And yeah, the way they kind of expand on the mythology in the new one, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I would definitely recommend the new one a lot, and definitely do a double feature if you haven't seen the original, or if you haven't rewatched it in a long time, go back and check it out.
I will definitely do that. So I'll end it with a horror pick because I'm not a horror guy, but I totally dug the Fear Street trilogy on Netflix. I thought they were 3, pretty decent horror movies that I knew nothing about. I mean, I didn't read the books, but they were being talked about. I'm like, okay, what are these? And no, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed them. I think the middle one,
The 70s one,
the 70s one, like in the camp setting,
yeah.
like it's kind of like the cliche horror tropes, like they did a camp movie, and they did
Yeah, it's like a typical setup for
early,
like a Friday the 13th movie or something like that. Like kids at a camp, there's weird stuff happening. Yeah, I mean, it's very much like the class. I think that's the one that a lot of horror fans kind of latched onto because they had that classic kind of nostalgia feel to it.
Yeah, and then the 90s one was kind of a Scream-esque, but not like too much like Scream. And then the 1666 was like, the witch and kind of movies like that. And so yeah, kind of cliche, but they succeeded. I think they were really, really solid horror movies. I like that they chose to use the same actresses and actors for like different roles in the movies. So I thought that was cool. And the story, it was really cohesive, and I think you could easily watch all 3 of them back to back to back and be entertained. I think it's a good triple feature. So yeah, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed them because I'm not a big horror guy. And so the fact that I decided to watch this trilogy all in like one weekend was really surprising to me. So
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're more of a guy who you probably like more, again, maybe psychological horror, that rather than like blood and guts type of hack and slash stuff, you know what I mean, or a little more what we call it in the horror community, elevated horror, which Candyman is kind of, and both the Candymans really are more elevated horror, is what we call it. Things with a little higher. They're aiming a little higher than your average, gory, whatever movie, which
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with those. I enjoy one of those every now and then, depending on what it is.
Like a
But
Halloween
yeah,
Kills.
yeah, like Halloween Kills. I loved Halloween Kills because it was just let's go bonkers and kill everybody on screen and have them just murder 50 people, just throughout the movie and just go bonkers with it. And I was fine with that because you need that every now and then as a horror fan. Just these
Yeah.
maybe just one of these crazy movies where it just goes bonkers, and I appreciated it for what it was. Sometimes I want something like Halloween Kills, and sometimes I want something like Candyman, depending on what mood I'm in. But yeah, I mean they can both work in their own ways.
Yeah, which I think is kind of funny because I bring up Halloween Kills because yeah, I would say I'm more like a psychological horror guy if I
Mhm.
had to choose. But according to my list that I'm keeping, Halloween Kills is number 2 of the horror movies. There's only 7 of them on the list, but
Right.
it's number 2 and it's pretty high up overall as well. So I mean, yeah, I have a Quiet Place Part 2 as
Mm.
as my favorite of the horror genre, but
Yeah.
Halloween Kills is not far behind. Like I dug that movie, and I wish people would stop like ragging on it because it's the middle part of the trilogy. Like if
Well,
you go
again,
in,
let's see where it goes
yeah,
with, and we're gonna get the finale. We don't have to wait too long. We're gonna get it this year. We're gonna get it in October. We're gonna get Halloween Ends, and so we'll get the finale. People were like, "Oh, Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't in it." Well, yeah, she was. Picks up where the first one left off, and she's got critical stab wounds. Like she's not going anywhere. Like she's not going off immediately to fight Michael Myers with these critical, wounds where she needs to be in a hospital for a while. Yeah, it's like there's going to be a time jump from what I've heard. Going into this final one, there's going to be a jump like 2-3 years or whatever, and they're even going to deal with COVID in the movie, from what I heard. So like they're going to put it in almost modern times, and
okay.
that could be interesting to see that in a horror movie. I've seen these cheap movies where they've done like there's literally, I'm not even joking, there's movies called like COVID Zombies that they cranked
I
out
think
really
I've heard
fast,
about
where it's
that
like
actually.
like
Yeah.
like like these zombie movies where it's like COVID turned them into and it's like they were clear just cash grabs, like made
Oh yeah.
by the asylum, like uh, just junky, no budget horror movies. But I'd like to see it dealt with, if they've thought about it in Halloween Ends, and kind of see how they kind of deal with that situation and play around with that in a movie that's prepared, that's thought about it, rather than just putting out a quick cash grab of something. Yeah.
I could see Michael Myers walking into a store and then people be like, "Sir, where's your mask?" And he just looks at him,
I got my mask on, bro.
stabs him. Like, all right, well that's that.
Yeah, yeah, right.
But yeah, so yeah, that might actually show up when we talk about most anticipated. I don't know, but um,
Maybe.
let's let's go semi-negative now.
Sure.
What's what's something that disappointed you from 2021?
I most recently, and I know we're going to talk about it more in depth, so I don't want to go too far into it. But Matrix Resurrections was something. It
Mm,
was, and I don't know if I don't think you said you haven't seen it
I
or
haven't
you haven't
watched
watched
it
it yet,
yet,
right?
but no.
It's I still would recommend people see it because I've been seeing all kinds of crazy different reactions to it. I was into it for about the first 30-45 minutes just because I was intrigued as to where it was going. I didn't know where it was going. I was intrigued by the setup and how they would kind of jump back into the story. I just think it goes completely off the rails in the second
Mm,
half or the last third of the movie or so, and I was not with it by the end. The whole thing. I don't. Again, I didn't dislike my experience overall. I still, was entertained by it for the most part. But that's the reason why it's in my disappointed category is I just felt like if you're gonna bring back this franchise after whatever what was it, 18 years or whatever it is, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like something like that, 17, 18 years. I thought it would have had a little more to it than what it did, and because I was really excited to see, I was like, because even Jordan and I were talking privately before the movie. I was like, man, I just don't think that Keanu and Carrie Ann Moss and all these would come back for something that, mediocre. And then they kind of did, maybe they didn't know what they were getting into either. I just
Mm.
felt like the whole thing had a kind of blasé attitude about it. It felt like a fan movie, or something like that, where somebody's making like a fan fiction film.
Uh,
What if we did that? What if we did this? It introduces some cool ideas and then just doesn't really go anywhere with it. So Matrix Resurrections kind of ends up in my disappointed category. So
yeah, it's still one that I need to watch. Like I said before,
mhm.
I've watched the first one, and that's it. So
Yeah.
I do want to marathon them. Like one of my goals for 2022, as far as movies goes, is to watch more franchises that people are pretty high on. So like the Bond
Mhm.
franchise, I've watched like six Bond movies, the first six Bond movies. So
Mhm.
I need to get through them all. But so yeah, Matrix is definitely up there because people are pretty high on the first one, and the second two people don't hate, but they still talk about them pretty
Well,
fondly. So
there's good things to like in those sequels. They don't measure up to the first one, but again, I don't really
right.
hate either one of them. I think Matrix Reloaded actually has some really great stuff. There's a highway action sequence in Matrix Reloaded that is one of the straight best action sequences I think of the 2000s. I think it's awesome, and it's a lot of fun. And even Matrix Revolutions, I don't hate it either. I think they're just a little too long and padded out for what they are.
Mm.
They get a little too like explainy, trying to explain every little thing, and a few of the sequences are just long. But I don't hate them. But this new one just kind of makes even those sequels look that much more elevated above this one. You know what I mean? To me personally, so I'd be interested to see what you think once you finally get around to watching all of them straight through.
Yes, well, hopefully soon. Hopefully
Mhm.
soon. A movie that disappointed me, um, because I thought it had an interesting premise, even though sort of unrealistic. That's the Tomorrow War.
Mm.
I've really enjoyed Chris Pratt, and I think anything he does, he gives at least a decent performance. So that much of the movie is at least enjoyable. But even in this movie, like even though I think he's giving a decent performance, like it falls flat.
Mhm.
Like it's an interesting premise. Even though, like I said, it's unrealistic. Like you got 30 years to like. I think even you brought it up.
I think, yeah, when you start picking apart the plot of the film, that they're sending people into the future to like fight this war, it's like, why? Why wouldn't you just use this time to prep the world or to train, people? Use the time is on your side
Yeah,
apparently on this. I don't know why you're sending people just to die and reducing your population for literally no reason. I just, to me, I think once you start nitpicking the premise, it just kind of falls apart. Again, it's a lot like these. I talked a little bit about this too, like these Netflix movies that have really great premises that I don't think stick the landing, or you hit on as much as they could. And the Tomorrow War is kind of one of those, some really great sequences. I mean, the stuff where they first get there and they're running around and trying to, shoot these aliens and do some of these missions is fun. Like I was with it for about the first, again, much like Matrix, I was with it for about the first 45 minutes to an hour.
yeah,
I
me
just think
too.
it goes on a little too long. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes. It does
It
not need to be
is.
that long.
No.
That's another thing. I'm going to rant about that later, about how like every other movie that comes out just has to be like 2.5 hours. That just bugs me. And but then again, I'm a total hypocrite because my two favorite movies of the last 10 years are Wolf of Wall Street and The Hateful Eight, which are both 3 hours. So don't listen to me. But but to me, no, it's more of just a trend I see where it's like even these independent films, these art house films, just think they have to be like 2.5 hours. It just, to me, a runtime can really make or break even whether I rent something on streaming, you know, like there's a reason I watch a lot of horror movies. It's because they're like a tight 90 minutes, 85 minutes, you know, sometimes that makes the difference, man. And when I don't have a lot of time between work shifts and on my nights off, it's like I watched a movie called The Deep House before we went live. It's like a haunted house movie underwater, which was really cool. It was like a tight 85 minutes, you know what I mean? We're in, we're out, and we're done. You know, like I was all about it. So sometimes that can make or break something. And if I'm, you know, looking on Amazon and I see the tomorrow, oh yeah, tomorrow people are talking, oh God, 2 hours and 20, oh shit. You know, like, oh, I got to strap in, you know, for this one.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like a movie like that should have been like a nice hour 45, you know, tops. I think there's some stuff that could have been trimmed there.
Yeah. I didn't particularly enjoy the stuff between Chris Pratt and his daughter, like in the future. Like it just I don't know, something about it just felt off to me. But
well, then you predict it as soon as, you know, they put off the reveal, but it's like, you know exactly who she is when he gets there. It's like, oh no, that's his daughter. Like, we know that, we figured that out already. You know, as soon as he sees her and they're like talking on the radio, it's like, and then they go on for another 30 minutes before they reveal it, and it's like, no, we already figured that out. Like, let's speed this up. Like, we're aware of this. You know, you know, there's movies where you're way ahead of the characters, but which is okay in some situations, but some of them it's just like, no, like we just need to get to it. Like, we already know this. Like, let's move on and start dealing with it. You know, but yeah, it was not, again, not horrible, just disappointing for what it was. You know.
Yeah, like you said, I really dug some of the action sequences, but overall, like story wise, it's just disappointing.
It kind of falls apart. Yeah. Oh, should I get into the one that straddles the line between surprised and disappointed? Should I get to that one?
Yes, I'm curious what this one is.
Okay, so this one's both. It was both a surprise in one way, because the end of the movie, when I thought about it. All right, I'll just get into it. It's M. Night Shyamalan's Old, okay? Which I don't know if you've seen if you've seen it or not.
Still getting around to it.
Okay, so you know the premise though, right? Is these people on like this beach and they're aging rapidly and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so it's disappointing in that it wasn't a good Shyamalan movie. You know what I mean? By the end of it, it's not good. It gets into it's bizarre Shyamalan, where like people are talking with like weird dialects and talking, delivering their lines oddly, you know, and it has a weird script. Like, people are just talking like you wouldn't talk. It gets into weird scenes where just not a lot of it really makes sense, and the reveals later in the movie are not particularly compelling. But the reason why it's a surprise is by the end of it, I was laughing with the movie and just having a fun time at how bad it was, almost on that Happening kind of level. And I feel like a movie is going to emerge as like, people are going to go back to it. It's going to develop a cult following like The Happening, and people are going to watch it in that aspect and just laugh at how stupid the line deliveries are and how absurd the dialogue is and the crazy imagery that they have in the movie. I'll just tease one thing. These two younger people in the movie go into a tent, fool around. One of them gets pregnant. She has the baby within about a minute because of the way the time goes, and then they have to cut the baby out, and you know, it just gets really, really weird and really crazy and bonkers. So it's the places it goes, it gets really silly. But I took a turn halfway in the movie where I quit trying to take it seriously and just started laughing at how silly it was, and once I took that turn, I started enjoying it way more. So if you go into it with that aspect, just taking it like you watched The Happening, which is really, you know, stupid, you know, but fun, like how that movie is, because, you know, Mark Wahlberg has weird line deliveries in that, you know, so does Zooey Deschanel, and it just gets really silly. If you could take it like that, Old is a lot of fun. So definitely don't take it seriously when you watch it. Like, watch it as a comedy, and you'll probably enjoy it more. So yes, it was surprising in how much I liked it as a comedy. Disappointing that it wasn't a good Shyamalan movie.
Yeah, he's one of those directors. Like, I'll always check out his movies because I'm always interested.
Oh,
Like
me too.
he's
I'm
got
always
so
rooting for
many
the
that
guy. I'm always
yeah.
rooting for the guy. I want to see him succeed. I loved Glass. I loved Split. I loved like his last couple. The Visit is fun. I liked a lot of his recent movies, and that's why I've been so interested. Kind of like the Nick Cage thing. Like I'm just like I want to see what this guy's up to, and apparently he's got another movie up his sleeve. At some point he's gonna come out with. So go all out, Shyamalan. Do your thing. I'll watch it no matter what
Yeah.
it is.
He's one of those directors for me. Like I think, like his highs are high and his
Oh
lows
yeah.
are lows, and I don't think he has anything in the middle that I'm just like, oh okay, yeah, no, that was good. I
Yeah.
either love it or I'm like, maybe no.
No, yeah.
So
And then you have stuff like The Happening, which is so bad that it's silly and fun, like it's so down in the dumps. But then there's movies like The Village that start off so good and they just take a nosedive, in the last act. Yeah, he's just he's a very strange guy, but I'm glad he exists. I'm glad he's
yeah,
doing what he's doing because he basically, after Split, on a $10 million budget, made like $100 million. He got that blank check to just do whatever he wants, and that's kind of where he's at right now. Is he's making these. Even Old was like a $20 million movie, and I'm pretty sure it grossed like 80 million or something worldwide. Or I mean, it turned a profit again, so they're going to give him more money to make another movie as long as he keeps his budgets low and keeps outputting. So we'll see what he does next.
yeah. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking forward to watching Old. One movie that I was also looking forward to seeing and became disappointed in, Segways.
Mm.
And I'm not disappointed because I went in expecting like this great movie. I went in expecting to be entertained, and I wasn't. And that's Space Jam: A New Legacy. Like
Mm.
I know people enjoy this
I
movie
was
for what
wondering
it
if it
is.
was going to come up
Yeah,
or not.
I know
Yeah.
I know some people enjoy this movie, and that's fine. Like people enjoy what you enjoy. I'm gonna enjoy what I enjoy.
Mm.
I'm a huge fan of Super Mario Bros. So don't take my opinion seriously.
Right.
um, but Space Jam, like I wanted to enjoy like parts of this movie. Like I don't think LeBron James is a terrible actor. I mean, I think he did pretty good in Trainwreck, and so I was like, okay,
Mm.
maybe he'll do good in this. I didn't enjoy anything with him on screen. Um, Don Cheadle tries, but I mean,
He's
when you're
having
given,
fun. I'll
he
say
is, he
that. He's
is.
having fun. You can tell he's enjoying the role and he's doing what he can with it. It's not a very interesting character,
No,
and it's just not a good antagonist for the movie. I think that look, the original Space Jam is not a masterpiece, but
oh
at least
no,
it had Danny DeVito kind of doing the voice of the villain, which was fun, and the Monstars itself, like the concept was fun of these little aliens taking over the NBA players and becoming these hulking monsters. You know what I mean? That was fun, and a lot of the stuff with some of the best sequences in the original movie are when the NBA players are doing like the tests, and they're getting tested on and doing
yeah,
the psychological testing and the therapy and all that stuff. Like all that stuff is great. Like I think that stuff is a lot of fun. Charles Barkley and all that. It just we don't get any sequences like that in this movie. You don't get those like side plots. It's just so focused on let's cram as many cameos into this thing or IPs from other Warner Brothers
right,
projects. There's like Matrix stuff in there. There's like Rick and Morty stuff in there. Those weird, goofy, cameos and things. And again, yeah, I didn't hate it as much as some people like hated it. I thought it was okay. And it was passable. My audience enjoyed it when I saw it in the theater. My audience
okay,
enjoyed it. So I mean, I was kind of putting a gauge on it. The kids were enjoying themselves. The only thing I thought that really worked was I really liked the way the game was set up in the final act, like the actual basketball game, like with like the power-ups and like the launch pads and kind of how it played almost like a video game thing of basketball, more than the original. I thought some of that stuff was creative and kind of cool. The fact that he could like step on a power-up and like do a monster NBA jam type dunk or something like that. I thought it was kind of fun how they kind of played with that. But yeah, the movie itself it just didn't. It didn't really. I mean, it's got this. It had this hype because of the original, but again, I kept my expectations
yes.
low. Okay, I didn't go into it thinking it was going to be like the greatest thing ever.
Oh yeah,
I
no,
think
neither did I.
it did.
But
Yeah,
like I expected to at least enjoy the stuff with the Looney Tunes and even some of that stuff. I was just like,
yeah. The
okay,
Looney Tunes are like second fiddle, and it's like, and they don't. it's just not the same Looney Tunes. Like even in something like Looney Tunes Back in Action that Joe Dante did, like they're way better
Oh
treated
yeah,
in
yeah.
that movie, than this movie. So yeah, I think the allure of the Looney Tunes has kind of worn off. I still go back on HBO Max and watch the original stuff, like from the 50s and 60s.
Oh,
The
mhm.
original like Roadrunner and Coyote and the original Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny stuff. Like that stuff works. It still works, and there's a
Yeah,
reason why it still holds up. But I just think the IP might just be a little played out at this point. It's time to kind of put it to rest for a little while, and
yeah,
just
yeah,
and let's bring it back maybe 10, 15 years down the line.
yeah. So yeah, Space Jam, another. It's at the
Mm-hmm.
bottom. It's at the bottom of my list. Um,
Yeah.
so you got anything else that disappointed you this year?
Just to me, just as a Saw fan, Spiral didn't do a lot for me this
Okay.
year. As a big Saw fan, and I won't get into it too much. If you want to see more about Spiral, you can check out me and Henry Confidential over on Let's Rank Stuff. We just did the Saw franchise, including Spiral, so I went into it way more in depth there. I'll just say that, it. I think the police procedural stuff worked more than the Saw type stuff. It just didn't feel like a Saw movie,
Yeah.
and it just didn't work for me on that horror level. I thought it worked as like a detective movie, a kind of cop movie. Chris Rock was actually really good in it. If you want to see Chris Rock playing like a really good, like cop, like detective kind of thing, kind of out of the norm, like he's really good and he carries the film very, very well. And you can tell he's invested in the project. But given the fact that the movie, I know this is getting way in depth on the franchise, but it was directed by Darren Lynn Bousman, who did Saw 2, 3, and 4, which are the kind of high points for a lot of the Saw fans.
Mhm. Yeah.
It just didn't feel like one of those movies. It didn't feel
Right.
like a classic Saw movie. I know it's supposed to be a spinoff, but I still expected certain things when I go into that.
Yeah.
So hopefully, if they do a sequel, they can improve on it a little bit. Just as a Saw fan, it was a tad disappointing to me. So I'll just say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I can agree with that. It's pretty low on my overall list as well, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I
I
kind
didn't hate it. I still enjoyed it overall. Like again, it was still entertaining. Just as a Saw fan, I wanted a little more from it. Like it just kind of left me a little cold. That's all.
yeah, this movie did make me want to see more between Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. I'd like to see those two work together
Yeah,
more. But
yeah,
yeah, one more that I'll just kind of hit on real
sure.
quick. I don't know if you've seen it. It's Cherry, the Russo movie, the Russo
Oh
brothers
no,
movie
no, no.
from.
I
I don't
didn't
know.
get around to that one. Yeah, but
It's a
please.
it's
Oh yeah.
another Apple one with Tom Holland, and that's probably why I went into it expecting to, oh, I'm gonna enjoy this movie. Yeah, it's Tom
Mhm.
Holland, it's the Russos, and yeah, but it's the other one. It's like the Tomorrow War. It was too long. I felt
Mhm.
the story, while interesting, I felt like they could have compacted it a little bit more. Tom Holland tries, he really does, but I don't think the material he's given is strong enough. Um, it's a nearly 2.5 hour movie.
Wow.
But
That's what I'm talking about.
yeah,
Did you feel like the movie needed to be 2.5 hours when you watched it for what it was?
no,
Did it have enough material to support 2.5 hours?
it did, but I don't think the material itself was strong enough to keep your interest for 2.5 hours. Like the story itself, it's about
Yeah.
this guy who goes to the war and then he comes back and he's dealing with PTSD. So it's a very basic war soldier
Mhm.
story, but just based off who was involved, I expected it to be better quality than it was, and in my opinion, it fell a little flat. So um,
Yeah. Well, again, it's one of those things where the Russos have an infinite blank check at this point to make whatever they want now that Avengers Endgame and all their movies made billions and billions and billions of dollars for these studios. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you guys can go and make whatever you want, and we'll give you the money for it because obviously when you have the highest grossing movie of all time, you get those privileges
right,
to go make whatever you want. So, I mean, I'm glad that they're going to start branching out and because I think they pretty much said they're done with the Marvel stuff, right? Like
I
they
think so. Yeah,
their just Endgame was kind of their well because they did how many Endgame and Infinity War and Civil War, Winter Soldier, they put in their part, they had their run, and I think they're definitely ready to move on to
yeah.
some other material. I'm still interested to see whatever they do in the future. It's disappointing to hear that Cherry didn't didn't quite work. But yeah, I mean, I'd still be interested to see, you know, whatever they have in store, for the future. I'll still check out whatever they got going on.
Yeah, it's not a bad movie. I think Tom Holland really does give a great performance in this
Hmm.
movie, but just like everything else around him just kind of falls flat. So it's worth checking out for his performance alone, I think. But
Yeah, I
um,
wonder is it the Russos? Do they have like a deal with Apple TV? Is that where they're going to start making movies for them? Basically, or
maybe
because I know that one was exclusive, but some of these guys
yeah.
they cut these deals like a 3 movie deal, with these streaming services, things like that. Like Tom Hanks has like a deal with Apple TV for a couple of movies. You know what I mean? So sometimes they do
Yeah,
that.
that could be.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm
Yeah,
trying to think. I don't know if they wrote and directed this movie. I can't remember, but
I don't think they wrote. I was looking it up on IMDb. I think it says. No, I think this it wasn't their script, so
okay,
they didn't have a hand in the writing. So that may be what it was. Is maybe they were
yeah.
just directing somebody else's material. Maybe they didn't have as much of a hand as they wanted to in it. But
So
there you go.
yeah, so yeah, cherry disappointment, but
Yeah.
so worth checking out for Tom Holland's performance alone. Tom Holland had a great year performance wise, I think. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's talk about maybe some older films we just discovered in 2021, maybe for the first
oh
time that kind of
yes,
knocked our socks off. And again, not we're not going to review like every movie we saw in 2021, just maybe the ones that really stuck with you or were super big surprises or ones that'll make it
hmm
into your rotation, regularly now. So we can go back and forth with that. I've got 6 or 7 of them on my list, but that really wowed me. So,
okay,
but I'll let you go first. But I'll let you go first. What do did you think
okay.
about that this afternoon? What do you got?
I have and one of them is actually your fault. So
Is it? Sorry about
and
that.
that's the Truman Show. I had to watch.
Ah,
I don't know if I would have checked it out.
go check out our battleground
Yeah,
match.
I don't I don't know if I would have checked it out on my own just because
Mm,
um I am a Jim Carrey fan. I'm pretty sure I would have gotten around to it, but I don't know if I'd have watched it this year just because.
hmm.
But I watched it and oh my goodness, what a great movie. Jim
Hmm.
Carrey, this might be his best performance, like ever. He's fantastic in it. The story itself is just so unique for its time. I think you kind of see it later, the style like later on, like
What's cool is you see stuff that you see on reality shows now, where they pipe in the music to up the drama, or
mhm,
kind of
mhm.
manipulate a situation to create some drama. Yeah, just all that stuff in that movie where he's figuring it all out piece by piece, and he's trying to escape, but they keep blocking him and keep
Yeah,
pushing him out of the way. Or that whole sequence where he's like just wandering around the town square, like, and he doesn't say a word, you just see the wheels like turning in his head. You know what I mean? It's just such a great
hmm
sequence, and the music, the score is really good, and he's so great. Like, he just gets the movie. It has comedic moments. It's not a
oh for
comedy,
sure.
but it has
No,
comedic moments. There's stuff where he's kind of freaking out, or he's going over the top, just like, let's go to Fiji right now, let's get the car. And he's just like, where are we
yeah,
going? Isn't that crazy? A truck just happened to pull in front of me. Oh,
right.
look at the bridges out. Yeah, da, 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 da. Like, he's definitely playing it up and having fun. But like I said in our battleground match, like, you're rooting for him at the end, man. Like, you want him to get out and you want him to succeed. Like,
Yeah,
you know so much about Truman without really, just you pick up. Really, the movie only takes place over a couple of days, if you
yeah,
think about it.
yeah.
But you feel like you've known him your whole life. The way they set up the movie, the way they kind of flash back to things, and you get the character. And yeah, that movie's just a masterpiece. I love it so much. I
Yeah.
watch it about once every 6 months or so. Like, I love it. I just
I
have to.
I hated having to talk against it because I really did
Right.
enjoy it so much. I enjoyed it so much. It's in my top 12 like ever. It jumped up
Yeah,
that
it's
high.
great.
It's
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 great.
it's my it's my number 12 of all time like at the moment.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So,
Nice. Cool. Well, I'm glad it is, man. It's a great movie. So one I watched for the first time that we talked about on a tearjerker fight is I finally got around to watching Gone with the Wind, which I had
Okay.
never sat down and watched. And you know, it's one of those things where I bought the Blu-ray several years ago. It's been sitting there on my shelf, you know, with the plastic still on it. You know what I mean? Never busted it open. But yeah, I finally sat down and watched it, and of course I had to do it over 2 days. I mean, it's a 4 hour
Right.
movie.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
what it is. It's a trek. But at the same time, I was surprised at how much I really got into it, and I got into the story. I got into the characters. There's some terrifically shot sequences for 19. I think 39.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's nuts. Like there's some crazy imagery. Like there's a scene where there's like this crane shot where they pull back and there's like a football field worth of these extras, like this post-war scene, you know, and she's wandering around these bodies and these injured people, and like you're just like, whoa, that's a shot from like a modern movie. You know, there's modern movies that don't have shots this good.
Yeah.
There's a sequence where there's a carriage going through. They're trying to escape like this town that's on fire, and they're going in and out of these buildings and this fire sequence. It's like it's great, and the characters themselves are awesome. I love Clark Gable's interaction with Scarlett O'Hara in this movie. Like he just doesn't put up with her shit, and it's amazing to watch. Like it's really ahead of its time as far as the way they interact. But yeah, I would definitely recommend again. You know, if you haven't gone and sat down and watched Gone with the Wind, like I thought it was going to be one of those things where I was going to be bored to tears and it was going to be a homework to get through. And like I really, really got sucked in and enjoyed it. So if you haven't gone and watched it, I can definitely recommend seeing it. You know,
It's probably my favorite movie that I'll only watch once.
I might watch it again someday, but
it'll
be like 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I'll watch it
Like
again.
I'm
It's not
sure
going to be
if
one I pop on a lot.
no,
Yeah.
I'm sure if somebody said, "Hey, let's watch Gone with the Wind," and like if I have 4 hours to, if it's a week, I'm like, okay, sure, yeah, let's watch it. But it's not one
Yeah.
that I'm gonna just like willingly pop on because
Yeah. Right.
it is a 4 hour movie, but it's great. It's got so many good performances. The shots, like you mentioned, are incredible, and yeah, it's definitely worth a watch at least once.
At least once. Yeah, you got to
Definitely.
sit down and watch it at least once. But you'll be surprised if you do how not homeworky it is, because that's what I thought going into it. You know, like yeah, if you're a film fan, you have to sit down and watch The Godfather, or not The Godfather, that too, but Gone with the Wind. But yeah, like it's much better than you would think it'd be for sure.
Yeah. So shifting gears from the 30s, I was very surprised at how much I enjoyed like every single Muppet movie. Like I
You
marathoned because
marathon them?
I was
Yeah,
on
yeah.
I was on the kick earlier this year. I was trying to get through like 365 new movies that I haven't seen, and then life just gets busy, so that failed. But this was part of it, and no, like I enjoyed every single one of these movies. The original Muppet movie, um, is pretty high up on my overall list now. I've watched that like 3 times this year. um, I just
Mhm.
enjoy it, like from right from the beginning with the Kermit singing the Rainbow Connection. I was hooked. The story is just they're Muppets. I mean, you just have a good time. You don't go into it expecting anything serious, and then of course, you got them going. Muppet Treasure Island is great. They're just fun times. They're just great
Yeah,
movies
yeah.
to put on for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just kick back, and you don't have to pay attention the whole time, which is great. Like if something catches your attention,
Sure,
but
sure.
they're great like background movies, but also they're enjoyable and entertaining. So I was just surprised at how much I enjoyed. Like I think there's like
Quick
7 of them.
question. Yeah. No, there is. I have a box set of them that I haven't gone back to, but I do own like a Blu-ray set that has like Muppets Take Manhattan, Treasure Island, Christmas Carol,
Hmm.
and the two most recent ones, the Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted. And I was just curious, like stuff like the original Muppet movie and like Muppets Take Manhattan, things like that. Are they as meta as like the new ones are? Like if you go back to it, like the humor, like is it kind of self-aware or is it a different type of humor? Like as kind of the
Um,
newer ones were real meta as far as like kind of commenting on, you know, how, commenting on the actors that were in the movie and kind of the musical sequences being kind of self-aware, or is it
oh,
just kind of casual
not
Muppet humor?
Yeah, no, I think it's casual Muppet humor. Like like the earlier ones didn't really have any, famous
Hmm.
actors, as many as the
A
newer
few
ones do.
cameos here and there.
It was like I think other than Michael Caine, like the story is really centered around the Muppets, and then there were like one or two human actors, but it was really
Mhm.
it was more Muppets
Yeah.
focused the earlier ones. I would say no, but yeah,
Because
I,
one of my favorite moments of the Muppets Most Wanted is when they're in that jail and they're everybody's saying goodnight to each other, and they say goodnight Danny Trejo, and they just call him his real name.
oh yeah,
Like if you remember, goodnight so and so, goodnight Danny Trejo, and they just roll with it because everybody knows, like, who cares what his character name is? It's Danny
yeah,
Trejo, you know. But like, I love stuff like that in those movies
yeah.
where
No,
they just don't
that's
care.
great. Yeah, and I didn't expect to love Jason Segel as much as I did in the I believe it was 2011
Yeah, yeah,
the
the
Muppet.
Muppets.
He
Mhm.
he was great. I still think the best Muppets, acting performance is Michael Caine. I don't think that one's going to be topped, but
No,
like, yeah, no, these movies they were just enjoyable and they were a good time, and yeah, that's all
sweet.
I got to say about that.
Hey, man, they're good. Yeah, I need to go back and watch them. I've got the box set over there. I need to dig out and go watch those old school ones. I haven't done that in a long time, so be a good one. But hey, I got a new niece, so maybe in a couple of years we'll start watching some Muppet
There
movies.
you go.
I've been building up my physical media. Kids movies collection, that I have them all physically over there ready to go, but just the good stuff, not no Frozen over there. No, 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 I'm not I'm not dealing. That movie doesn't
Oh,
exist. No, we're watching Kung Fu Panda, we're watching The Incredibles, we're watching Madagascar, we're watching How to Train Your Dragon, stuff like that. Good stuff
land,
is
land
what we're
before
gonna
time.
watch. I've got the 14 disc box set over there.
It's so funny because I don't even think that's as many as there are.
No,
Pretty sure there might be
no.
more.
There's legit, like 17 movies. I have some movie over there, some set over there. It's like 14 movies or something like that. I got for like $10 on Amazon. So, and maybe two of them are worth watching, but I don't know. I
Yeah,
just bought it because it was $10 when I was going on this buying spree. Like, it kept recommending, like, oh, do you want to check out this set or this set? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll add that into the
yeah.
pile. Why not? The American Tail 4 movie set with 2 movies I didn't know existed. Yeah, sure. I'll
There's
buy those
four.
as well. There's 4 of them. Yeah, there's
What?
2 other direct to videos. Yeah, there's American
Okay.
Tail, The Five Goes West, which is awesome, which I love,
Yes.
and there's like uh, uh, Manhattan Island or something, and then some
Oh,
other one I don't even remember like the name of. Yeah, there's
okay.
like 2 other ones in the set. I was just as surprised. Oh, okay, there's 2 more Five movies. Great. I didn't know about that. Probably never watch them. But we'll see. Anyways, getting back to pivoting from Fievel to Martin Scorsese, I saw After Hours for the first time. I keep seeing it pop up on these lists of I'm kind of doing some early prep on One Crazy Night movies, and
Okay.
After Hours is kind of one of the gold standards that I had just never seen from Martin Scorsese, and it's a really interesting movie. It's just about this guy who goes to see a lady after work to go buy some stuff and kind of ask her out on a date and things like that. And then he loses his money. And this is like 1985, so he doesn't have like a debit card on him, nothing like that. It's like if you lost your cash or you didn't have a credit card on you, you're not everywhere took credit cards, you're kind of screwed. And he's about 60 blocks from his house in Manhattan. So he just doesn't know. It's like 3 in the morning and he can't get home. And everything,
Mm,
it just keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier. All these people he encounters. And it's one of these One Crazy Night movies where nothing goes right. And it's just a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect going into it. And I was just along for the ride. And I love a good One Crazy Night movie. It's one of my favorite kind of subgenres of, of some of these decades. And it's a lot of fun. So I highly recommend after Hours from Martin
okay.
Scorsese. It's just a really crazy kind of drug trip kind of a movie, just this dude just losing his mind over this night trying to get home. He just wants to go home. We've all had those nights where it's just like, I just want to get home, and be safe. And you're stuck somewhere, you just can't get out of a situation, and it's just the ultimate in that. So I highly recommend going back to After Hours from 1985.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, Man, let's see. Where do I? So there were a lot that I watched for the first time this year because, like I
Yeah.
said, I tried to start the year by watching movies that I haven't
Maybe
seen.
we'll
So
just quickly breeze through a few more here and there, just real
yeah,
quick, just a couple of seconds each.
yeah. So
Maybe
I
just
did
rattle
see
off a couple.
I did see Aliens for the first time this year. I know you're pretty high on that movie, so
Just a
just watched
little.
it for the.
It's only my favorite film of all time. So yeah, you could say I'm a little
Yeah,
high on
it's
Aliens. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the first, and this one is on par with me. I think I need to rewatch both of them and just kind of see
Yeah.
which one I like more. As of right now, it is Aliens because I've seen it a couple times. Um, but Aliens was fantastic. It's a worthy sequel, and understand now why it's in the conversation of sequels that are better than the original.
Because it is.
Yeah,
Because it's awesome.
so
Yeah.
so yeah, I've watched that one for the first time this year. Warrior was another one I watched for the first time this year, and I really dug Tom
Warrior's
Hardy's
good.
performance in that. Um, and another one that's pretty high up on my list is Hugo. I watched that for the first time this year,
Mm.
and I just absolutely fell in love with that movie. I watched it on Netflix, and I haven't bought it on Blu-ray yet, but it's going to be added to the collection. I thought
It's one of those ones I
it's
need to
great.
go buy too. I haven't seen it since the theater. I saw it in theaters, and it's been what 10 years. It was like
Yeah.
2011 or something like that. Yeah, yeah. It's one I'm due for a rewatch on because I haven't gone back in a long time to watch it. I do remember enjoying it overall. I remember Sacha Baron Cohen being a lot of fun in
Oh,
that movie, running around as the kind of security guard guy or whatever
yeah.
he is, like running around. Yeah,
Yeah. Sacha Baron Cohen and Martin Scorsese is not a combo I thought would be
and
would work together on a
one of the
movie.
final Christopher Lee performances before he passed away too, right? Just kind of in a scene or two. Doesn't he show up just
Oh,
in a scene or two?
yes, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, does he play the uncle? Yeah, I think he
Something like
plays.
that. Yeah, yeah. He's only in like a scene or
Yeah.
two, but it was one of his final performances. He was like 90 years old when
Oh,
he was
yeah.
in the movie, and it was one of those things where all the movies he was doing, they had to sometimes do stuff where they would set up sets like near his house to film stuff because he was
Hmm.
very immobile at that point, which is interesting. He did a movie called The Wicker Tree, which is a sequel to The Wicker Man, where he does one scene from the movie because he's a big part of the original movie, and he's literally in front of a green screen and just does
Hmm.
this one scene because that's all they could do with him because he couldn't travel to like a sound stage. You know what I mean? So
Oh, okay.
yeah, I mean it's one of those things where I think he's pretty. He doesn't really do much in the scene other than act. Like he's literally just
Right.
sit down somewhere or something like that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I do remember that being one of his last roles. But yeah, Hugo, I'm due for a rewatch on. Yeah, I need to go back to that one.
And probably the biggest movie I watched for the first time this year, last year, was Saving Private Ryan.
Mm,
I don't know how I avoided it
yeah.
for 22 years. Wow, 23
Mhm.
years or whatever, something like that. But yep, no, it's as good as people say it is. It really is. So yeah,
That
those are
opening
kind of
20
the.
minutes is some of
Oh,
the it's the most realistic war footage that's ever been put to screen, like
oh yeah,
easily. I
totally.
mean, dudes with their guts hanging out. I mean, guys just getting annihilated as soon as they step off those boats. I mean, I can only imagine. Like, I mean, people. He got people who were involved in the real thing who said it was so realistic that they had like PTSD just watching the movie. You know what I mean? Because it was
Hmm.
so like right in line of what they experienced. Like yeah, it's true. I mean, you can see why. Well, he won best director, but let's be honest, that movie should have won best picture over Shakespeare in Love. Like get out of here. You know what I mean? Come
Yeah.
on. Like that's her opening 20 minutes alone should have earned it over Shakespeare in Love. But that's another conversation for another day. We can talk about when the Oscars got it wrong, maybe someday,
Oh
maybe
yes.
around Oscar time. We can do a show about that. When they got it wrong. Given time will tell. So yeah.
Yeah. So you got anything else you want to?
Just a couple of quick ones. One of these was inspired by Richie Goodacre's Top 24. I had never seen Wag the Dog, which knocked my socks. I really enjoyed Wag
Hmm.
the Dog, which, if you don't know the premise, it's kind of similar to Argo. They bring in the president brings in Robert De Niro to kind of manufacture a fake kind of war scenario just to get the heat off of a sex scandal. And oddly enough, this movie came out, and 6 months later, the Monica Lewinsky scandal hit in real life. So, and people went, did these guys know something that we didn't know, in real life? But yeah, if you like movies like Argo, it's a lot about like Robert De Niro hooks up with Dustin Hoffman, who plays this kind of old Jewish movie producer, and they manufacture like all this fake stuff, and it's a lot like Argo, where they're manufacturing like a fake movie, to kind of do this little scheme. It's very similar to that. So if you like Argo, go back and check out Wag the Dog. It's a lot of fun. I saw Paths of Glory for the first time, which was a Stanley Kubrick movie from 1957 about World War One, and it's great. It's got Kirk Douglas. If you've ever wanted to see a Stanley Kubrick movie that was 90 minutes, which if you can believe it is, it's really awesome. It's a quick watch, but it's kind of like an anti-war movie. It just talks about the effects of that war really has psychologically on people, kind of ahead of its time for 1957. It's really, really great, and it's just about these characters and these soldiers, and it's awesome. Like, I highly, highly recommend Paths of Glory. It holds up beautifully. And the final one I'll talk about is Ed Wood from Tim Burton from 1994. Have you seen Ed Wood? Ed Wood's so good. Oh my God, I can't believe I slept on this movie. It's another one I had sitting on my Blu-ray shelf for 2 years, and I finally cracked it open this year. And oh my God, I'm going to be watching this movie a lot. And what it reminded me of was it would make a great double feature with The Disaster Artist. About Tommy Wiseau, because it's about these two filmmakers who just have so much ambition and want to do the greatest things, and just the skill is just not there, and it's not there. And I just ended up adoring what Johnny Depp did with the role and how much fun he's having with it. Just one of my favorite sequences where he makes his first terrible movie, and the gas man from Dumb and Dumber, who's like the guy who gave him the money for it, he's just like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. He's just like, the next one will be better. He's just so optimistic. It's just so great. It's got a great sense of humor about itself, and Martin Landau is awesome as Bela Lugosi in the movie. If you haven't gone back to watch Ed Wood, it's a gem, man. It's a real fun movie. Yeah, so I really enjoyed Ed Wood. I'm going to be watching that one a lot.
Yeah, I watch it a lot too. I'm a Johnny Depp guy though, so
yeah.
And I'm a Tim Burton guy, so
Well, it was before Tim Burton kind of started going off the deep end. Later, still when we were still cool with Tim Burton, and he was still putting out some good stuff. Even a few years later, Mars Attacks. I'm a big Mars Attacks fan, so I was still on board. It was just once he gets into the 2000s, it kind of gets a little wonky for me.
Yeah.
Well, maybe other than Big Fish. Big Fish.
I enjoy the 2000s. The only one I don't really is that Planet of the Apes movie.
It's not good. Not good.
It's not. I enjoyed Paul Giamatti in it, but not much other than that.
So. Tim Roth is giving it his all in that movie. I'll tell you, he's trying. He's really, really trying. But the material's just not there. It's just not there. No.
So let's wrap it up and look forward.
Look to the future.
2022, and let's talk about some of our anticipated movies. I don't know about you, but I kind of have a top 5. That
I cheated. I've got like 8, but it is what it is.
Why don't you kick us off? And
all right, how about I'll call it 5 with 3 honorable mentions.
I kind of cheated with my 5, like my number 5. Why don't you go ahead and kick us off with?
So I mean, I would definitely say this one's going to be near the end of the year, but the newest Martin Scorsese movie called Killers of the Flower Moon will be coming out, and the cast is nuts. It's another Scorsese DiCaprio production, which never seems to fail ever. Like, it's always good. They just seem to make gold every time they get together. But it also has Robert De Niro going back with Scorsese. So we get De Niro and DiCaprio in a Scorsese movie together, which should be interesting. Which we haven't had yet. Jesse Plemons is in it. Brendan Fraser is in it. We are due for a Brendan Fraser resurgence. I'm ready for that. The guy has been unfairly shit on the last 10 years or so, and unjustly so. I think I don't know what happened, but I've always liked Brendan Fraser, and maybe it's my love for the Mummy, and movies like that. But he's due for a resurgence, so maybe this will be the kicker for that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he's going to be in there working with Scorsese. John Lithgow's in it. Yeah, it's got a really solid cast. It's just about kind of a 1920s FBI period piece, but I'm down for it, man. Whatever it is, that cast is solid, and I'm ready for that.
All right. So yeah, my number 5. I just kind of lumped together all the comic book movies.
Oh, okay,
I just
that's fair.
I
Fair
lumped
enough.
them. I lumped them all together. I'm looking forward to
Yeah,
all of them. Everyone that's coming out, like it's they're either a sequel or a standalone, like Morbius.
mhm.
But just based off where Sony's going with that kind of Spider-Man um universe, I'm very much interested. But the Batman, a huge Robert Pattinson fan. If you just think of him
Mhm.
as Edward Cullen from
Yeah,
Twilight, you need to stop that. You need to
stop.
stop that now. He is a
Mhm.
fantastic actor, and he has been putting in great performances. He will be a
Good
Best Actor
times.
winner.
Yeah, Cosmopolis. I mean, the guy's got chops, man. Yeah, if
Yeah,
you've never seen him outside of Twilight, go check out the movies he's made the last couple of years. Like they're all
yeah,
really,
good
really solid.
time.
Even stuff like Tenet, just where he's a supporting guy, like he's good.
Hmm.
Yeah, please, like
He's probably my favorite part of Tenet.
well, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Just like when Ben Affleck got casted, it's like, no, these guys are good actors. They're going to be good. Like just give
Yeah,
him a chance. There's a reason he probably did something in the audition, that they liked, or he had a different take on it, which is what we're seeing in the trailers. So yeah, I'm hyped for it. The movie looks gorgeous. I love
it
the way
does.
it looks in the trailers. I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah, it looks like a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
yeah, that one. Thor. I'm interested to see where they go, especially after Ragnarok was such a turn for the franchise in the MCU. Um, Black Panther.
Yeah, turn for the worse. Turn for the worse.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
one of
I
those
mean,
guys, but whatever.
well,
I have no hype for Thor. Sorry, no
okay.
hype for Thor: Love and Thunder. But I'm in the minority on that one. I fully realize that.
Hey,
But
that's
yeah,
that's why I think we're such great co-hosts. Our opinions don't line up, but
yeah,
that's okay. Black Panther.
yeah.
The new Black Panther. I'm interested to see where they go. Rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman.
hmm
Um, the Flash. Finally, hopefully. um,
I'm hyped for the Flash. I'm even more hyped, honestly, for the Flashes. Multiverses than the Spider-Man ones. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoyed
mhm,
Spider-Man a lot, but like, I want Michael Keaton back as Batman
right.
so
Yes.
bad. I am
Yes.
a huge Batman '89 fan, and I am so hyped to see him back in the suit, to see the old school car. I am just. I don't care if you can call it fan service, whatever. I want to see his ass back in that suit, saying I'm Batman, and I'm
Yeah.
so all about it. He seems excited for it, and I just I want some other surprises too, man. Like just from the general DC universe. Like I think they
Hmm.
could do a lot with that too. And shit, man, put George Clooney back in the uniform for a cameo. I'm down. You know what I mean? Why not?
I think it's great. We're gonna see him, Michael Keaton, in both a DC and a Marvel movie in the same year.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
gonna
no, it's interesting. Yeah,
so, um,
because yeah, he's gonna pop up in Morbius, so we'll
yeah.
see what happens there. And I'm certain he'll pop up in another Spider-Man movie at some point. Like he's still out there, you know what I mean? Especially if he's down for it, because
Mhm.
he's having a lot of fun. He was the best part of Homecoming to me. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm down.
Yeah, he's gold in anything he's in. And then the last one is, the new Spider Verse. We've talked about it before. I'm super high on the first one, and I know you're not, but
Well,
um,
and again, to be fair,
it's
I
not.
again, it
Yeah,
wasn't so much the movie. It was literally the movie gave me a migraine, like a
right,
headache,
right,
like the
right, right.
style in the theater. And I have the Blu-ray over there, so I will pop it on a smaller screen, and I think I'll do better with it. I'll save my rewatch for before the movie comes out. I think I'll just
Hmm.
wait and kind of rewatch it before then and have it fresh in my brain. But no, I mean, I'm interested to see where they go. I enjoyed the multiverse stuff they did in that. I love the Spider Noir stuff and the Spider Pig and the Jake Johansson's version of Spider-Man that was sort of pseudo Tobey Maguire, but yeah, I liked all that stuff. Yeah, I'd be interested to see where they go with the sequel, because they can go a lot of different directions. So I'm going to see where they go.
Yeah, so I am too. And I think that's all the
Well, you knocked
comic
out
book
some of the.
superhero
Well,
movies.
you talked about the superhero movie, so technically, if you talked about that, then I'm just down to 5 more on my list, so we
Oh,
kind of
okay.
even it out. So that'll be fine. So that works.
There we go.
So I still have a bit to talk about.
Yeah.
So we already talked about Halloween Ends, so I can kind of skip that. Like I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to the finale. I've really enjoyed this series, so I'll skip that and go to Nope, the new Jordan Peele horror movie that we don't know
That's my
much
number
about.
4. Yeah, that's my number
Yeah,
4.
it's you know, us overall. I enjoyed the journey. The ending and all that left me with more questions than answers, and kind of,
Mhm.
once I started thinking about it, you know, kind of falls apart when you think about it. But it's not to say that I didn't enjoy the creativity of the movie. I didn't enjoy the experience, what was going on. I'm just interested to see what that guy plucks out of his brain and what he's got for this. Because
Mhm.
yeah, we don't know anything about the plot synopsis. He's got like a poster, and that's pretty much it. We don't know what the premise is, so we'll see. But
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of those directors right now where I'm just interested to see what he's got on the table. So, it'd be one of those things where he could even just put out like a teaser with just some images or something,
Mhm.
and really I'd be willing to go into the movie pretty blind and not know much about it and just see where we go, you know.
Yeah, I don't think a director in recent memory has garnered that much hype from just a poster.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just incredible. I'm definitely looking forward to it too. Like I said, I'm not a horror guy, but I've enjoyed both Get Out and Us so much. Get Out is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm glad that one was recognized at the Oscars because it kind of showing love to the horror genre. And I kind of wish it won more. It might have been my favorite movie of that year if I really had to sit down and think about it. It's high up, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Nope gets a big yes.
Mm-hmm. Oh
So
yeah, I'm ready for it.
yeah, that's also on my list. It was so that would have been my number 4 if we were like ranking things. It was on the list.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess I'll just go into like my third
Just go
most.
ahead. Yeah, just to get another one.
Um, we kind of touched on it. It's the unbearable weight of massive talent.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm so ready for this. Nicolas Cage playing Nick Cage. The trailer just it sold me so much. This is a I don't make it to the theater very much on opening day, but this for me is just like I want to be there
Yeah.
opening night, see this movie, and just hopefully be super entertained and just recommend it to as many people as possible. Nicolas Cage is just like you said earlier, he's just putting out great movie after great movie. So yeah, that's on
Yeah,
the
I'd be
list.
interested to see how he plays Nick Cage and when
Yeah,
he, whatever version of Nick Cage he decides to play. I'm down for it. But yeah, I hope we get some fun. We might get some fun cameos and things. Maybe some other actors playing themselves. Kind of like a "This is the end" type thing. I'd be down for that, and just to see, yeah, where it goes. I'm down for anything Nick Cage puts out right now, and I'm definitely on a roll with him. So yeah, bring it on. I'm ready.
yeah.
There's a movie coming out that I just dug into when I was looking up the IMDb schedule. It just sounds really fun and interesting. It's called Samaritan. I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's
Hmm.
there's no trailers or anything out yet. The basic premise is Sylvester Stallone plays a superhero that had a epic battle like 20 years ago and has gone, and people think he's dead, but he's still alive, but he's like a homeless guy just kind of hiding out, just staying under the radar, and a kid kind of discovers that he's still around helping people. And
Hmm.
so it's Stallone playing this sort of aging superhero that's just trying to live like a low-key life after some epic, sort of Superman versus Zod type battle or something like that. But yeah, it's from the director of Overlord, that World War II sort of zombie movie that came out a few years back.
Hmm.
So that was a nice little gem if you saw it. But yeah, it's a movie that intrigues me a lot, and the more I'm kind of digging into the premise and the cast and the crew of this one, I'm excited for it. Like it sounds fun.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up because I haven't heard of it until just now, but the
Yeah, it's
premise is
coming up
really
this summer.
interesting. Okay.
It's in post production right now, so it's
Hmm.
on the table for this summer right now. I think August or something like that. So it sounds intriguing.
Okay. So yeah, no, sold me on that one. Um,
Mhm.
so another one I'm looking forward to. It's called Babylon. It's the new Damien Chazelle movie.
Yeah,
Damien Chazelle has impressed me so far. I haven't really um, hated any. I've loved all of his movies. I think he's a fantastic director. It's set in
Brad
Hollywood
Pitt, Tobey
during
Maguire, right?
yeah
Yeah.
set in Hollywood during the transition from silent films to talkies, focusing on a mixture of historical and fictional characters. I'm curious to see which like historical characters are there. But yeah, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Samara Weaving, Tobey Maguire. Like it's just the cast is intriguing. The director is, it's got me sold. So yeah, Tobey Maguire is actually a producer on the movie. So
Well, dude's dude's rolling
he's
with
invested.
Whiplash and La La Land, even First Man, which I wasn't crazy about the movie overall, has some incredible sequences and has one of my favorite scores of the last couple of years. And yeah, that one was
Hmm.
cool too. So yeah, I mean, he's another one of those guys that I could put in our tournament fights. I'll have to mark that down, Damien Chazelle, and
Yeah,
put those
yeah,
couple of movies in there. If we do that kind of ones with the limited filmography, I'll have to throw his 3 or 4 in there and see how he does. But yeah, he's another guy who's he's one of those directors that he's one of those guys that you'll see just about anything he's got going on. So yeah, I'm whatever it ends up being. Sounds kind of like the artist, but maybe it'll be better than the artist. This is what it sounds like. Yeah, that transition to handle the subject better than that movie did. Like that movie's not horrible, but yeah,
yeah.
whatever. It's fine. So I'd be look, I'm a sucker for Jurassic Park movies, and Jurassic World Dominion's finally coming out this year. So I want to see some crazy dinosaurs just running around in regular life, causing havoc. And hopefully this movie delivers. But I'm excited that all the former cast members are finally going to come back for this one. Sam Neill and Goldblum and Laura Dern and everybody are going to pop up. Now, hopefully not just for a quick cameo. I'd like it to be like Spider-Man, where they have some meat on the bones of the to do.
Mm.
Uh, I'd like to see him actually do some stuff in the movie, and not just show up like Jeff Goldblum did for a hearing, in the previous film. I want more than that, but yeah, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Jurassic World. That I'm just a big fan of all these movies, pretty much
Oh, me
overall.
too. Yeah,
Even Fallen Kingdom, as batshit crazy as it is, it's still kind of fun. So I'm down. I'm down to see where they go.
yeah. I'm curious. I love the Jurassic Park series too. I find something to enjoy from all those movies. So yeah, I'll definitely be checking that one out.
Yeah,
Um,
it's Colin Trevorrow coming, back in the seat from Jurassic World. So I'm interested in that he's going to kind of finish out the trilogy. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
because the J. Bayona stuff, yeah, that movie's weird. It's not horrible. It's just weird. So I'm glad to see Colin Trevorrow. Maybe we'll get it back on track here. So
yeah.
I'm down for that. But yeah, I've got one more. But you go. If
I've
you got any more, otherwise
I've
I'll.
also got one more. I'm an animation guy. I'm a Toy Story
Mhm.
fan. I enjoy all four of them. People say the fourth one wasn't necessary, but I'm still glad we got it. And I'm so looking forward to Lightyear.
Mhm.
I think I enjoy that they're not casting Tim
Tim
Allen
Allen.
as the voice,
Yeah.
because it's not about the toy; it's about the person that inspired the toy. The trailer sold me. I'm glad we didn't get much of Chris Evans. Just at
Mm.
that last few seconds of the trailer. Pixar, they only have a couple duds for me personally, so I'm much looking forward to it. Even Turning Red, like the other one that's coming out.
Mhm.
So yeah, Lightyear, big Toy Story fan. It's the first movie I saw in theaters as a 5-year-old
Yeah.
was Toy Story. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, Pixar. Hopefully they knock it out of the park again. And Lightyear is just another another great Pixar movie because I'm so
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
forward to it.
Well, yeah, no, I that'll be one that I'll wait to see what the buzz that comes around for it is really nice to see in the theater. 'Cause I'm not well. Yeah, I didn't even mean that, honestly. No pun intended. That would have been a good one if I had actually owned up to that, but I can't own up to that one. That was unintentional. But no, I'll see what comes around to it. So whether or not I see it in the theater, I'm not much of an animated guy, honestly. I tried to watch Mitchell's versus the Machines the other night, and I'm just not an animated dude.
Yeah.
I think I've hit that point in my life. I'm 35. I just can't do the animated shit anymore. I just can't unless it's something really groundbreaking. I don't know.
Right.
So, but I'll let you guys enjoy that and have fun with it. I'm not disparaging that. Like I realize that there's some good stuff. I just can't do it much anymore unless it's something really, really special. And my final one is, look, I love this franchise to pieces and everything that they do. I'm sad that we don't already have it. I still got to wait another month or two. Jackass Forever. I want to see so bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not the one I thought you were going to bring up. I thought we were going to hear Scream, but no, this is a great thing too.
I will see Scream. I will see Scream, but I'm not the biggest Scream fan. I think Scream's fun, but it's not one of my favorite horror movies of all time. But I'll see it. No, Jackass. I just adore the Jackass movies. I think they're some of the just most fun, and it's one of those things where, oddly enough, I've seen all three with my dad, all the previous ones. Oddly enough, is one of those things where we go see that one too, just because I saw them all twice in the theaters. I would go see it, and then I would just be like, "Hey, Dad, you want to go watch Jackass?" And I, surprisingly enough, for the first one, he said yes, and we did, and we saw the second one together, and we saw the 3D one together, and we just had a lot of fun with it. So just laughing our balls off at people getting kicked in the balls. So it's it's a simple. They're simple movies, but god damn it if they don't make me laugh like a lot.
Yeah,
they come up with, man. I can't deny that they just do. And I love this franchise. I love Viva La Bam. I love Wild Boys, all that stuff, man. I'm just a massive fan of. So because it was supposed to come out last October and they pushed it back to February. So I gotta wait just a little bit longer for it, but hopefully it comes out and I can go have some fun with it. I'm ready for it.
Is that a Paramount? Is that going to be on Paramount?
No, I don't think it's going to do the dual thing. Yeah, I think it's just theater. Cool. Yeah, so I mean, it probably will show up obviously later because Paramount has all the Jackass stuff on the streaming service. So it'll probably show up there, after the theatrical run. Yes, but I don't think they're doing the dual release. No, I think it's just going to be a theater thing. So yeah,
cool. Mm-hmm. So that these. I'm looking forward to all these. I'm looking forward to Scream as well.
I'll see it, and god damn it if I'm pretty sure they're going to kill David Arquette in this one, but that's what it looks like, which I'm going to be sad.
You can't kill David Arquette.
Yeah, no, that's what the documentary said, but you can't kill Dewey. I'm afraid, but I think it's going to happen in this one. But then again, it might not. I thought they were going to kill a bunch of them with Scream 4, and they didn't. So who knows? We'll see. But I'm still interested. I'm interested in that one too. I'm just not. I don't have the Scream franchise is not on the same level as some other franchises for me. Like the Halloween franchise is above the Scream franchise for me, and even the Saw franchise is kind of above the Scream franchise for me. So yeah.
So a lot of good movies coming out this year. We'll see I'm interested to see if any of them get pushed back.
Mm-hmm.
Like John Wick did, but still a lot of good stuff coming out this year. I like that.
Tear for John Wick 4 not coming out this year, man. Yeah.
I like that. I don't know if you heard, but Warner Brothers and like the HBO Max deal, like once it's had its 45-day theatrical run, that 46th day, it will be on HBO Max. So wow. If I miss any of them in theaters, at least I don't have to wait that long to see them. So that's cool.
Because I missed both the HBO Max run and the theatrical run of Dune, even though I didn't have that much interest in it at all. But I will watch it again once it pops back up on HBO Max eventually here soon. But like stuff like that is cool because I got to see Godzilla versus Kong in the theater, and then a few days later I watched it at home for a second time. So it's always fun, I can go watch it with the subtitles and make sure I didn't miss anything.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. I think that's our show. Let us know what you're looking forward to this year. Let us know your surprises and disappointments, or even if you've discovered something for the first time this year. Let us know. Make sure to give one of these, as the kids say, smash that like button.
Mm-hmm.
Smash it. It feels
Smash
weird.
it.
I'm a 31-year-old adult. I don't need to say that.
Don't break
No.
your screen. Yeah, what do you mean? What
Uh,
are we talking about? Just click the like button. Yeah.
yeah. If you like what you heard, subscribe, share this video with your friends. I'm hoping, because StreamYard allows you to download audio, so I'm hoping to download the audio and maybe put this on like other
An
podcast
actual
streaming
podcast.
services.
Yeah,
So
right.
that I'm looking into that. But as of right now, we're on YouTube. So check us out here. Check Austin out over at the Movie Hero.
Real quick plug. Speaking of anticipated for 2022, this Tuesday night on Tournament Fights over on the Movie Hero Network, we'll be doing a completely hypothetical movie, much like the guy was commenting the other night. Oh, we haven't seen any of these movies we're going to be voting on and talking about in this bracket, but we're going to be putting 64 of the new releases coming out in 2022 in the tournament and seeing which one we're most hyped for. So that one could get interesting, between Spider-Verse and Batman and Jackass and Halloween and all kinds of stuff. We'll see which one kind of emerges victorious in a hypothetical tournament fights of movies we're interested in and coming up in 2022. So we're going to be doing that in tournament fights. That'll be fun. And just a quick plug, I mentioned earlier, myself and Henry Confidential, we have a show called Let's Rank Stuff. So check that out over on his Henry Confidential channel. We just put one up talking about the Saw franchise, and our next episode will be talking Christopher Nolan movies and ranking those. So I've got a couple of rewatches I got to do. I need to go back and rewatch The Prestige, so I picked up the 4K so I can watch that, and I need to rewatch Insomnia and little Memento, things like that. Just a couple of rewatches I haven't gone back to in a long time, but that should be a fun episode. I'm looking forward to
that. Yeah, that should be an interesting one. Christopher Nolan is one of those directors. I feel like he has any of his movies could be somebody's number one.
Yeah, I legit think that even stuff like I guarantee you stuff like The Prestige or Insomnia or some people out there really love them and like have it as number one, or they could have The Dark Knight Rises as number one. You could have Batman Begins as number one. You could have Interstellar, even Tenet, the new one, could have as some people are really high on that one. Me, not so much, but some people really are. But Dunkirk, whatever it is, there's something. His movies are so diverse that, I don't know. These rankings are going to be interesting because we've been all over the place lately with our ranking shows and some of our past episodes where we kind of match up on some of the middle stuff, but we've had wildly different tops and bottoms, me, myself, and Henry, which is why it's been a lot of fun. So if you want to see that, like the Saw one was all over the place, our Tarantino was all over the place. So and it just goes to show, again, much like the stuff we do here, even with our Spider-Man, how movies are subjective and they hit people different ways, and that's what's kind of cool about it. So, but just two other shows we're doing. Check them out. But please subscribe to this channel, please. Podcast about movies, and I'm anxiously awaiting a podcast about wrestling, sir. Whenever you and Jordan Owens get that started.
Jordan is back in Florida. We should be setting up a record time soon.
All right.
Speaking of wrestling, as soon as we are done here, there is a pay-per-view on right now that I'm going to go watch. So hopefully,
is it GCW or something else?
No, it's WWE. They're doing their day one.
God, I don't even keep up with those anymore, other than like the Royal Rumble and like WrestleMania. I don't even keep up with them anymore.
I'm not going with high expectations, so hopefully I'm just
at least the crowds are back. I will say that. Yes. I couldn't do these shows where there was just no crowd. I can't do that. Oh my God, I couldn't do that. It just kills me. So at least the crowds are back. At least there's some crowd noise. So I'm down for that. So
make sure you go check out Austin over at everywhere he is, because he's a lot of places.
I'm everywhere. Too much of me, I'm sure some people think. Wait, I'm sick of seeing that guy on my screen. Well, look, I got a lot to say, so deal with it.
And check us out, a podcast about movies, a podcast about wrestling coming soon, and who knows, maybe a podcast about other stuff. So just pay attention to the channel.
In general, maybe some football, basketball, a podcast about sports coming. Maybe
pay attention, and eventually I'll get good lighting, so there's not like this. It looks like I'm being shined down on by these lights, but
We're going to do a podcast about crossword puzzles coming soon. We'll do them live on the air. We're just going to figure them out. A piece of a podcast about Sudoku. No, I mean, the
You laugh, but I
possibilities
love
are endless.
Sudoku. Anyway, so
we're gonna watch it. He's gonna sit there. He's gonna put the actual puzzle, the digital one, on the other screen. He's gonna do them live on the podcast and try to get to the end and see how long it takes and time himself. That'll be Jacob Barber's next show.
that's my
Tune
next
in.
show.
Stay tuned.
Tune in. But until then, keep
Mhm.
talking about movies.